Good morning to all of you. Last class, I had completed uh, two ethical issues related to information. Today, the last part means the last ethical issue, which is related to information, digital property rights. For this, you must understand what are digital property, or what is a digital asset, or what is what to say digital asset. Okay, estate also, sometimes digital estate also a term which is used for this. Basically, whatever your information you are creating digitally, whatever data you are creating digitally, which is there in the digital format, is your digital property. It can be your email account, your gaming account, uh, any software which you have created. So, all those things which are in digital format created by you, which belongs to you, which is your original creation, it becomes your digital property. So, there are many threads related to this. So, you must know what are your digital property rights. Nobody can means take the data created by you, no one else, without your permission. They cannot use your gaming account. Nowadays different means web series are there, through which different apps which are being released. For that also different accounts are being created, and any person without your information cannot use those accounts. So those are known as your digital properties. And digital property is also known as digital assets, another name, and collectively all your digital property will be termed as digital estate. Okay, next we have who owns digital property rights. That's very much clear that only the person who has created that data digitally owns the right of digital property. Only the owner can use and decide who all and in what form can his or digital asset may be used by other, whether by making payments or by buying it or by obtaining its license. Means it depends on you whether you want it to be free, or you are going to charge something for that, or you want your digital property to be partially shared, half of the code you are giving to someone and half code you are not giving. So it depends, all the rights lies with you, since you are the creator of that digital information. If you want, you can give all the rights to others. If you don't want, you cannot, since you are the creator. Next big is the what are the different threats to the digital property rights. The very common one is your digital software penetration tool. Suppose we have created a software, you must be knowing that whenever we install a software, the first thing, if it is a licensed software, it will ask for a key. But there are different penetration tools like cracks, keygen and all, through which the means the a person can try to crack the key which is used to install the software. Okay, so different penetration tools are there which can be used for cracking the key of the software, which is required for a licensed software. A key is always required for a licensed software, but there are penetration tools through which we can crack that key, and it can be used for installing an unauthorized copy of the software on your system. Another thing is that stealing and plagiarizing codes of your digital properties. Suppose the source code of the software. See, in this chapter, most of the times we will be talking about the digital property. It will be a software created by you. You'll have to imagine. Okay, so sometimes suppose you have created a software, and the source code means the original code through which you have created that software. Somebody has taken that source code and they are trying to modify that. Some new changes they are adding to the source code, and a new software they are going to create. But when they release that software, they will not give your name. It will be released under their name. Their name will be given to that, but originally it was your creation. Okay, so this is also a type of threat to your digital property. So two headings are there through which the data can be stolen, digital properties can be stolen. First one is digital software penetration tools. So some of the tools which are discussed in your book are cracks and keygen. So okay, so whenever somebody tries to find out the key of a software, licensed software, so they crack it. Okay, they try to crack the key. And then a second one is stealing and plagiarizing codes of digital properties, means source code of your software they have got, and they try to modify, they try to manipulate few of the things, they try to add few new things, and a new software is being created which will be released under their name only. Okay, next we have how these digital property rights can be protected. Okay, so three ways are being given in your book. First one is anti-temper solutions. These are the solutions when somebody will try to temper the software, somebody will try to hack the software, or they will try to manipulate the source code. They won't be able to do because of these temper solutions. These are available in market which can be used. Another thing is that there are some legal clauses. Whenever you will install a software, you must have noticed there are some terms and conditions. Transparently, it is given in the beginning whether you agree or disagree. If you agree, you can continue, otherwise, you'll have to stop there. So, means clauses can be there, whether your software can be modified, whether it can be copied, wherever it can be redistributed, and all these clauses should be included in the software. And last one, we have limit the sharing of the software code. Sometimes what happens that you're working in a team, a group is there who is collectively working on the software development, and once the software is developed, all those party group members are knowing, and they have given the key to some other person also. So in that way also the software can be cracked, the key can be cracked. So always try to share the code only to the group members. No other outsider should know about the code which you have used, the key for the software. Next comes limit the sharing of software code, which I have already told. Next is open source philosophy and software licenses. Yeah, the types of softwares which are available in market. So you must know what is open source. Okay, open source means the softwares which are available online. Sometimes the source code is also available, and sometimes they charge some nominal amount, they charge for the software, and sometimes the software is totally free. And there also the clauses are given that whether you can copy it, whether you can duplicate the software, everything is clearly mentioned there. So in relation to this, you must know about two terms. First one is your free software, and second one is your open source software. See, these two are different. Open source and free. Free means totally free. Means one software developer is there, Richard Stallman. He gave some terms that if these things are satisfied by a software, then that software will be known as a free software. Let's discuss about those terms. Like he told that if the user has a full right to run the program, to study the program, to modify the program, to means to manipulate the program so that he can add few more changes to improve the working of the existing software. If all these rights are there with a general user other than the original creator of the software, then that software is known as a free software. Means he, the person who is going to use that software, he is having full freedom. Whatever he wants to do with the software, he wants to delete some part of the source code, he wants to add some new thing, he wants to study the software, how that software is working. If all these things are available, then that software is known as free software. Then we have open source software. Open source software means here also the source code will be available, no doubt. Source code is there with open source software also, and user can make changes, copy the data, but there can be some charge also. It's not totally free. Okay, source code of open source software are also freely available to the end users, but with some conditions. Okay, there are some conditions. And a software which is free as well as open source, then a new term comes which is FLOSS. Free labor open source software. Okay, FLOSS. FLOSS. Clear? So, philosophy of open source software means what are the features or the conditions which are imposed on open source softwares. First one is free redistribution. And open source software, if somebody wants to make copy, he wants to make different CDs of the software and they want to redistribute it to other people, they are free to do it. Okay, there is no such condition that you cannot. There is free redistribution of open source software. Another thing is derived work. Derived work means, suppose you have taken some source code, means not the full source code of an open source software, part of it you have taken and you have added new data to it and you have created a new software. So that software should be released with your own name. Okay, so that derived work means it should not impose the same condition. Only that part which you have taken, that will have the same conditions which were there for the original software, but the terms and conditions can change for the newly created software. That newly created software is known as derived work. Next is integrity of author source code. If you have created a new software by taking the source code of the previous open source software, partially you have taken data from there, and by adding new things you have created a new software, so that new software should be released by some other name. So that way you can maintain the integrity of the original author source code. Next is there should be no discrimination against persons or groups. Means if a particular group is using that software, we cannot say that that group cannot use. It is equal for all. Okay, another thing, no discrimination against fields of endeavor. Means that like the software is used in business by a business person or by it is being used in a research work, both the places same type of conditions will be there, though the groups are different but same type of conditions will be there. Then we have distribution of license. Yeah, suppose you are giving the software to some other person, that second person will also be having the same conditions which were there for the first person. It will not vary from one person to another. Then we have license must not be specific to a product. Means if as I told that we can create a new software by taking partial source code from any other open source software, so that part which you have taken should have the same conditions which were there in the original software. Same types of conditions should be imposed on that. Then we have the license must not restrict other software. Suppose I have included part of the open source software in my new developed software. So it's not mandatory that the new developed software will also be open source software. It can be a licensed software also. Okay, so these are the things which are there, means which are conditions which are imposed on an open source software. Next, we have different types of softwares. One by one, we'll clear this all. First one, as I told, open source software. It is means you are free to the source code is available for open source software. You can use it, you can redistribute, you can manipulate, everything is available, but for a nominal charge. Okay, you can redistribute it, but you have to pay. It's not always free of cost, there can be some nominal charges. But if you are using a FLOSS software, FLOSS, as I have already told, it is a combination of free and open source. Free plus open source software equals to FLOSS. Here your means source code will be available. You can manipulate it, you can redistribute it, you can copy it, and that too without any charge. You know, this FLOSS, two types of full forms are there. Basically, it is related to freedom. Free libre open source software, free libre open source software. So many types of pronunciations are there, as they have given, like in Spanish it is libre, but in Portuguese it is livre, but meaning is same, freedom. Okay, another thing we have GNU. It is a type of license. It was an organization in the beginning who came for the free development of operating systems. You must be remembering GNU. We had learned about one Linux software in standard 9 which was free. You can download it, this Linux software, from internet, and you can use it. So this is an organization which was there for supporting open source softwares. Then we have FSF, which is Free Software Foundation. This is also a non-profit organization which is there for supporting the development of open source software. softwares and free softwares. Then we have OSI, which stands for Open Source Initiative. This is also an organization which promotes open source softwares. Then we have freeware. Okay, here also the source code is available free of cost, but you can copy, you can redistribute, but modification is not possible, sorry. And here the source code is not available. In freeware you can do the things which are possible. You can copy it, you can redistribute it, but you can not modify it. And here the source code is not available. You will just underline it in your book, because there are so many kinds of software discussed in the book. As I got confused, now you people can also be confused, so you just highlight these points. Next is W3C, which stands for World Wide Web Consortium. You must have heard it in chapter 2 also, when that web services chapter was going on. This is an organization which supports the development of standards for World Wide Web. Okay, so this organization sees whether the things which are like protocol standards and all are being developed, or means developed under this organization, which stands for World Wide Web Consortium. Next we have proprietary software. Here also it's open or not freely available. Okay, here the source code is not available. Keep this thing in mind. Its use is regulated, and further distribution or modification is either forbidden or requires special permission by the supplier or the vendor, and source code is not available. Freeware, proprietary software, source code is not available. Next we have shareware. There, see, I can give you example of some softwares. Suppose you have Photoshop software and you haven't got the licensed version. Sometimes what the company provides you, they will give you a trial version of that software, that you use it for 1 month, and after the stipulated time you'll have to purchase the licensed version. Here the source code is not available. You cannot manipulate it also. So these type of softwares which are available free for a trial period are known as shareware. Okay, you can underline these points, very important. What is the difference between freeware, proprietary software, and shareware? In free software you can copy it, you can redistribute, but you cannot manipulate, since the source code is not available. Now comes proprietary software. There also the source code is not available, but in shareware a trial version of the software will be available for a certain period of time, and after that stipulated time you'll have to purchase the licensed version. And in this case also your means this source code, I hope you all have understood. Source code means, so I'm giving you the example. You all were creating the web pages. Yes, the code which you're writing and the executed web page is known as the run program, and the code which you have written is the source code. So if I want a person to use only the web page, I don't want to give the original code which I have written for creating that web page, so that becomes your source code, and this is the original software or the web page. So now I think the difference is clear for all of you, what is source code and how this can be used. Last one is copylefted software. Yeah, copylefted software means if you are going to redistribute a software, all the copies of that original software should have, or it should have the same norms and conditions which were there for the original software. It should not vary that I have taken this software first, so some conditions will be there for me, but for the second end user, those conditions will not be imposed. It will remain same if it is a copylefted software. So I hope you all have understood up to this. One more video I'll post where all the licenses and what is digital divide, these two terms will be completed, and with that only this chapter will be completed. Go through all these pages which I discussed, because there are some terms you may get confused. So read the chapter again and again. Okay, all the things, all the types of softwares as I told, then the terms related to your open source software, all these terms you will complete, you will go through, and whatever doubts you will have, you will post it through Campus Care, or your class WhatsApp group, or you can personally message me also wherever you are feeling that you have this doubt. You can post it to me. I will try to answer it. So, thank you. Have a nice day.